Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shalawama. Islam to all the Moors. All right. Okay, y'all. So let's get started. By the way, I hope everyone knows that when I say Islam, it means I, self, law, and master. It's not a religion. It's an acronym. I, self, law, and master. Moors, when I say Moors, I'm not referencing a religion or anything like that. Moors are a nation of people, the autochthonous people. If you it correlates to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. If you look up land in a good law dictionary, under the definition of land, you're going to find Moors, M-O-O-R-S, Moors. So correlate that to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. That talks about the man being formed from the dust of the ground. Okay, so that the man is in fact land. So then you have to make the connection to law. It's a well-established principle in law, or maxim in law, that land and law are inseparable. Therefore, Moors and land are inseparable. Consequently, land is the substance and subject matter of the law. Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law. So when that is used abusively, this is where we have gone through the period when anything you say can and will be used against you. Why? Because you're speaking law. Okay, and everyone has the autochthonous men and women have a unlimited birthright to contract. Okay, have an unlimited right to contract. As far as Nubia, I see someone I used to work with. Takes us back to Nubia and the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, which was Circle 7, Clock of Destiny. Circle 7 being the product of the celestial upon the tail of the Great Bear. They use that as a celestial clock. Okay, so I have some information. I'm going to share it with you all. I just don't know when. I'm not really one to put together PowerPoints. And then all of the stories, the teaching tools that go along with that, that were eventually turned into mythologies, and eventually by the Solarites and the Osirians turned into deceptively turned into Dipper, which is a part of the Great Bear constellation. The handle being, if you look at the celestial clock, that I like to call it, the celestial clock, which is in fact the clock of destiny. The celestial clock would be the Great Bear. The tail of the Great Bear, or the handle of the Big Dipper, Ursa Major. And then the sun, as it enters, passes through, and exits each of the 12 zodiac signs. Now remember, the number of zodiac signs in the solar zodiac have changed over time. They have been added, and go from the Solarites to Nubia and before Nubia. Okay, Nubia and before Nubia. And I guess I should say this too. The orientation is not Africa. I'm not speaking about Africa whatsoever. Some of y'all might be thinking that, but I'm not. It has nothing to do with Africa. The mindset, change of mindset, meaning how time is reckoned, how reality is reckoned. Okay? In other words, how time is calculated and how reality is determined. Okay, y'all? All right? Original Zodiac. The original Zodiac is what I'm talking about. It's hundreds of thousands, millions, or billions of years old. Who knows? It's an unquantifiable amount of time. This Zodiac, the ancient Zodiac, with some people will call it divine providence. Some people would call it God. All right, y'all? So gender, the Hermetic law of gender, it's just, if you can conceptual first, which is mentalism. Okay? Okay, y'all? So now here we are, the celestial North Pole star, or Polaris. And remember, it can change. Well, it change. Remember, it can change. Well, it changes, or at least they say it changes. I've never seen it change, but it's supposed. They say it changes. But anyway, as that rotation takes place on a 24-hour basis, the position of the Great Bear will change in the sky. Okay, and based on the position of the Great Bear, you know what? Time cosmically connected through their consciousness. But you know, if ever they admit something, they're going to take something else away, right? So this is what they said. They said that we are consciously connected to the universe. Now that makes sense, right? For those of us who the celestial waters. Let me see. CC writes, unfortunately, connection once again is very poor. I'll have to catch the next one. Stay safe and healthy. The temples, those several hundred temples or a couple hundred temples, however many it was when they built the dams in Egypt, it's the same reason. Why? Because when you know this information, it frees your mind. Because this tells you, but this is the other interesting thing, that the Egypt that everyone knows of today, it appears to me, and I'm saying appears, it appears to me, this is commerce. You know, even when you're just dealing with people. Commerce is not just buying and selling. Okay, so when you're dealing with people, you're making oral contracts, right? People have expectations, and you say you're going to do this and you're going to do that. You're going to meet here. You're making contracts, commitments with people. That's the natural law. That's operative, or that governs. Darkness was known to be the source of light, and darkness was said to be pure spirit, pure light, whereas Whereas sunlight, as we know it, sunlight or just light was known to be a shadow of the darkness. Natural phenomena, primarily as it affected agriculture. Which is vastly inferior to Circle 7 and the Clock of Destiny, which would include the natural law of do no harm, don't injure anyone. That's why I really appreciate my professors. Where was this guy from? Well, I've had several professors. This is when I was studying medicine, when I was in medical school. People used to say, well, what do we need to study? Because it was just so much information, right? It's just so much. So they would study, that they would say, you need to know everything. You need to know everything. Our ancient foremothers and forefathers. They say the solar is more precise, but that's absolutely not true. It's not true at all. Because what they want to do is, they're looking at this in terms of, it's by the second, by the hour. What time is it? Is it 4:02 and 15 seconds? Y'all see what I'm saying? And then they'll talk about the limitations. How if you look at the if you try to tell time by the Great Bear, perfectly. I guess to focus in on the seconds and the minutes is to not easy. It's orientation. So let's talk about Sirius, the dog star in the south. Sirius, the dog star in the south. Now remember, our ancestors in the south. Now remember, our ancestors drew a line, drew a boundary around that which is boundless. Sirius, the dog star, is that these people need to be brought to justice. There we are. Who do all of this censoring. Look at this. Y'all see that? Y'all see? What most people don't know, most people think Psalms 83, most people associate it with Edomites, right? Hold on. Ah, there we go. Hold on. Let me see if all right. So my signal is okay, y'all. So let's go to Psalms 83. I think it's Psalms 83. Yeah, this is it. So let me read this. So I often wonder if these verses have a celestial origin. Because remember, the Solarites destroyed who they call the Typhonians, or the Sabian Moors, or the ancient Kemites, who are Hamites, who are, y'all might get offended by this, connotatively speaking, Israelites, the house of Yasharallah, yes, all one bloodline. Because it's a story of aboriginals who have been attacked by hybrids, and the division of the bloodlines into competing nations is a divide and conquer strategy. The real goings-ons is the real goings-ons is the hybrids attacking the autochthonous men and women, or the Moors, right? Or the Moors. Those of us who are sprung from the soil. Those of us who are supposed to be here, who have our origin, where, y'all? Where do we originate? According to our ancient foremothers and forefathers, we originate in the star called Mizar. Mizar, the second star from the first star in the handle of the Great Bear. Of course, the handle of the Great Bear is the tail of the Great Bear. We originate in Mizar. The Hamites, the Kemites. By the way, Semite is Chemite or Chemite. How? Because they just changed the K into an S. That's all. And then pretended, deceptively taught people that we are a different people, which we are not, in fact, a different people. Now I'm telling you the celestial story. This is celestial. Okay? So what happened? Well, the Great Bear, the thigh of the Great Bear, the celestial ship of the north, is the gynomatrix. In other words, energy, consciousness, mentalism passes through. So for example, we originate in Mizar. That energy passes through the gynomatrix. That thought energy passes through the gynomatrix, interacts with soil, and now man is produced. Man is thought made manifest from the soil. All things of value come from the soil, right? This is why land and law are inseparable. Mores and law are inseparable. Therefore, land, therefore, mores are the substance and subject matter of the law. Moors speak law. Moors make law. Moors have the inheritance in her, in the land, in her, in Mother Earth, in Mama Earth. In her is everything of value, the origin of everything of value on Earth. Y'all heard? So now that's Mizar, Maserat. Maserat has its origin from Mizar. Maserat, Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim traces back also to Mizar, the star Mizra. So now you have the Mitzrayim above and Mitzrayim below, which is the Hermetic Law. What governs that? The Hermetic Law of Correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. This is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, and the stories that they told, teaching tools that they told, y'all. Okay? In order to pass this information from one generation to the next. So what else happened? What else happened? Oh, by the way, so the Great Mother is also called the Mother of Time Cycles. The Mother of Time Cycles. So not just the revolutions or the circles around the pole star, but also the time cycles in nature. So one that everyone knows in the earth plane is the menstrual cycle, natural cycles, time cycles, the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, all of these cycles, right? So there are many. There's a circadian rhythm, right? There are a lot of cycles. The mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers dealt with all of these with science, not religion, okay? Science, technology, and engineering. So now we have Sirius, the dog star in the south, going back to the clock of destiny that C and Bay, our ancestor C and Bay, brought to us, and he got that knowledge through Noble Drew Ali. He taught, both of his books are titled The Clock of Destiny, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Okay, so Sirius, the dog star, the brightest star in the sky, is in the south. In the south celestial pole region, this is where the principles are. This is the region of principles. So for the Moors, it's love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the highest principles of the universe, right? So if you're doing these things, you're not harming anyone and you're not injuring anyone. Correct? Correct? And y'all should also know that in civics, there must be what? An injured party. Do y'all see the connection between nature and civics? It's one. There must be an injured party. If there's no injured party, and you don't have a contract where you gave up your birthrights, well then those oppressors, they will make a window for themselves to jump out of. Right? And in your proper person with your nationality, etc., etc., exercising the reserved rights of the people. This is the natural law, meaning you haven't contracted your birthrights away. You can decide the case. You can dismiss it. So if y'all want to know more about that process and get templates of the paperwork, if y'all want to schedule a consultation with the Consul General, his name is Lamont, Consul General Lamont Maurice L. Y'all go to enforcetheconstitution.org, okay, and you can learn about the civics. He, they, the consulate, the Moroccan Empire Consulate offers civics classes. I don't know the schedule, but y'all go there, enforcetheconstitution.org, and you can get all of that information. But you absolutely must learn the culture. Learn the culture. When you start preparing your holy writs, you should know the culture. You should know the things that I'm talking about. Hold on, y'all. Let me read these comments. Hi, Doc. This is WOY here in Los Angeles. Still learning and listening, renewing my mind from lies and indoctrination. Harm no one, keeping the commandments, to the best of my ability. Natural law. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Old Adja Lamech, do no harm. Absolutely. Do no harm. Y'all correlate this, integrate it with your knowledge of Torah, the Ten Commandments. The essence of the Ten Commandments is do no harm. And it says it. It says don't steal. Do no harm, don't injure anyone is equivalent or synonymous to don't steal. All you need to do is understand that principle. For example, don't steal the right of someone to have notice of what's happening and their right to respond. Don't steal it. In other words, don't deny that person due process of law. This is nature, natural phenomena. I'm sorry, not natural phenomena, natural law. Don't steal. You tell me who it is that will say you don't have a right, everyone does not have an expectation to know about what's happening. Okay, to know that someone has accused them of injuring them, and then to have that they don't have the expectation, the right to be able to respond in a competent court. And it's not a court like y'all might think you see on TV, or that you had to go to for divorce or child support or whatever the deal was. That's not what a court is. That's dealing with two sovereigns coming together and resolving their controversy. Y'all look up court in your law dictionary. Okay? So this is in nature. That's why when you start to learn this information, learn it well enough to apply it, to see the Hermetic Law, to see the civics, to be able to trace the celestial phenomenon, let's call it astrology, to be able to trace it back to mythology, and be able to trace the mythology back to the astrology or the celestial bodies. Once you're able to do that, it's a wrap for these dogmatic religions. It's a wrap, okay? Because now your eyes will be open. You have eyes, and in fact, you do perceive. You got ears, and yeah, you understand. You understand. Therefore what? Therefore what? You can repent. You can stop harming people. You can stop acting in such a way that's against nature, so that nature slaps you to get your attention, so that you will stop going against nature. So you'll stop swimming against the stream, the current rather. You swim with the current by following, living harmonically with nature and natural law. Y'all see what I'm saying? You will be able to repent. This is Deuteronomy 30, chapter 30. You will be able to repent, to return to the Most High, you and your family, with all sincerity, right? And then the Hermetic law of cosmic habit force will take over. In other words, what? In religion, we say the Most High will circumcise your heart. Right? Most High will circumcise your heart. And you won't have to think about what to do and how to behave. But no, because it'll be habit through Through what mechanism, y'all? Let's relate it back to the Hermetic Laws. Through the Hermetic Law of Polarity. Let's relate that to the cosmos. First, we'll relate it to the solar zodiac. It would be what? The Hermetic Law of Polarity along the line of, or the solstitial line. The sun on June 22nd or thereabout takes on the title of Christ, right? Christ is enlightenment. Everything good, everything holy. Righteous, right? That's at one extreme of the line. At the opposite extreme of the line is the winter solstice. It's dark and cold in the winter, right? So, since it's at the opposite end of the same line, the sun now becomes Satan, or the opposer, or the opposite, the point, the extreme opposite end of the same line. All right, so since we're dealing with solarites and they defamed and slandered Circle 7, Clock of Destiny, the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, they made darkness evil and wicked. Therefore, Satan, which simply means opposite, okay, opposer, opposite end of the same line, they made everything dark, evil, and wicked. Hence you get Satan, the devil. Darkness is nothing but, evil is nothing but live, the anagram of live spelled backward, and then prefixed with a D. They got the D from darkness. Devil. You see, this is a game of magic. Not magic like you see on TV. No, the magic is the magic of the written word. The magic is in manipulating words, how words are formed, word morphology, sentence structure, sentence syntax, grammar. That's magic. This is the power of the pen, the Hollywood. All right, this is Jeremiah 8, verse 8. They wrote lies and made the book of the law into a book of religion. Let me read this comment. King of the heart, King of the earth 21 writes, by the law of jubilees regarding campaigns, the Jews, the Gentiles of Ashkenazi and Zionists are not allowed to be forgiven. Alex has a question mark, and King of the Earth 21 writes, Genesis chapter 10, verse 3, the Ashkenazi ain't Hebrew. Okay. All right, let me see if there are any more comments. King of the Earth writes, speaking of law, look up eviction law. Once evicted by the landlord, your grandkids can't kill the landlord, and the can't kill the landlord in the claims of inheritance. King of the Earth, can you explain that a little bit more? So I can speak on it a little bit. The landlord is the Moor, because only Moors are descendable, or only Moors have an inheritance. This is what the big thing is about. See, this is the big issue, the inheritance, the land. So the hybrid, the Genesis chapter 1 hybrid, the Amorphodite, the Esau in the Bible, has no inheritance. and cannot inherit. So if y'all look up human, if you look up human in the law dictionary, it's going to refer you to a monster. And it'll tell you that the human cannot inherit land. Although born from, well, it's going to call it a monster, although born in wedlock or something like that. I don't remember the exact definition. I'm paraphrasing it, but y'all look that up. So hence human rights. So our ancestors gave the hybrids rights, human rights, okay? And then in the Americas, through the organic constitution, we gave those hybrids that were creating all kinds, they were hoodlums. Or, well, let me speak, they were vagabonds. I'm trying to remember the terminology that they're referred to in the Articles of Confederation. Well, one of them was vagabonds, fugitives from law, etc. Our ancestors allowed them to have access to those 13 colonies on the East Coast in an effort to have peace for their posterity, which is us. Okay, which is us. Genesis chapter 10, King of the Earth writes, Genesis chapter 10, verse 3, the Ashkenazi. Okay, I already read that. Oh, so let me go on with it. So in this case, the hybrids have no inheritance. So Esau comes out, he has no land. Esau has no land. He comes out, what, y'all? He comes out ruddy and hairy all over. So ruddy is not red like Santa Claus. It used to be you could go on Google. This may have been 7 to 10 years ago. You could go on Google and type in ruddy or ruddy horse or something like that, and it'll come up and it'll show you a brownish red horse, a brownish red squirrel, any brownish red animal. But I've tried to do that recently, over maybe the past year or two. It's not so easy to find it. So Esau came out ruddy and hairy all over. So he came out hairy, like he had an animal hide. Okay, so there's a specific I don't want to call it an illness, but y'all do some Google searching and well, let me just say this. This is correlating, in my opinion, to the Neanderthal or the caveman. All right? So the Neanderthal or the caveman in modern day science. Okay, but our ancestors said, and this is what I lean toward, that this is none other than Yaqub. The Yaqub animalistic experimentations where he had a team of 13 feminine Moorish or Moabite scientists that he worked with. Okay, and by the way, it's my opinion, this might sound crazy to y'all. My opinion, these are ultimately become the Solarites. The Solarites who kill off and oppress those of our ancestors. Remember Kemites, Israelites, but we're going to get back to this. This is a good story y'all should know about Israelites in this whole thing. This family line, this one strand of Kemites called Israelites. Okay? But it is the hybrids that were produced by Yaqub. This is my opinion. It's my opinion. The pharaohs, the human pharaohs. Human, again, is a monster, a hybrid, that's non-descendable. Okay, they conquered the Nubians, the Nubian pharaohs, who were, today they'll tell you that the Nubian pharaohs were black. And now you see modern Egypt presented as what, y'all? Pale face. Today. And I'm talking about the pharaohs, not the people, okay? But anyway, that's just my opinion. So let's go back to, I think I finished Clock of Destiny, right? The tail of the Great Bear in the north, celestial pole is the minute hand, the Sirius, the dog star in the south, is the hour hand of this celestial clock that C and Bay brought back to us, and this is the Clock of Destiny. So Clock of Destiny, you should hear within that what prophecy is, right? What prophecy is. Prophecy is what, y'all? The only prophecy comes from reading the stars, the same way you would read a book. Okay? So, the solar zodiac is only a half a second old, not even a half a second, probably 0.1 second old compared to, or probably 0.00000.0 seconds old compared to Circle 7 and the Clock of Destiny, the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, right? Circle 7, Clock of Destiny, natural law, do no harm, do no injury, right, y'all? And time cycles, earthly time cycles and natural phenomena, and celestial time cycles. And of course, we can't forget that the Hermetic Laws. And what the modern day people call God, I'm talking about the good aspects, conceptually, our ancestors called the ancient darkness. The ancient darkness, okay? So this is correlating back to the first Hermetic law, all is mind. All is mind. So once you understand these things, now you can go back into who you are. This is why Noble Drew Ali said, Moors, if I can get just, he said, he said, if you ask, I'm paraphrasing, if you ask me what to study after you studied everything, I go back and tell you to study yourself. Why? Because he wants you to find out who you are. Why? Because you have a capacity, a faculty of mind that you are unaware of. That once you become aware of and you develop it, then you can step into your role, connotatively speaking, as a god. Meaning what? Meaning that you can use the law of gender to create everything that you look to these external deities to do for you, you can do for yourself. If you only knew who you are. If I could just get you to be yourself. Y'all remember that? You would free yourself. So how does it work? How does it work? Well, once you know who you are, you know that your thought may manifest from the soil. Thought is a function of the mind. You know about the Great Mother. You know about the Hermetic Laws, right? You know all of this stuff, and you know that that's who you are. That's who you are. But in this, on planet Earth, you are in this form, the physical form. Right? You're in the physical form, and your physical body has its limitations, but your mind does not. Your mind is still connected to the source, right? Right? Science tells us that the decision maker exists outside of your fleshly body. And that your subconscious mind is responsible for any changes that happen in you. So this is what? This is the feminine. The feminine. aspect of the law of gender, the subconscious mind. And the will exists outside of you. So that's the masculine part, right? So the Father wills and the Holy Spirit does the creation, makes the changes. Y'all see it? So once you know who you are, now you can take control, conscious control of these faculties. Meaning to say what? Instead of being totally or predominantly left brain dominant, doing your thinking and decision making through the left brain. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Reading and analysis and, intuition and creativities. These things are discouraged in Western society. So right brain function, intuition, creativity, etc., is discouraged and it's not developed. Well, once you know the information that I'm trying to tell you, share with you, you will begin to understand why it's not developed. So the goal, in order for you to do, be, and have everything that you want, in order to be, quote unquote, God, you need to bring your right and left hemispheres of the brain together so that they're working together. And then do your thinking and your decision making. When the two hemispheres of your brain are harmonic with each other, not the left dominating the right. No. That's inferior. Your results will always be suboptimal. No matter how good or bad they are, it'll be suboptimal. So what happens when you close your eyes? It's dark. Okay? You close your eyes at night, there's no sun out. Even if the sun out, it's still dark. So now you're in the darkness. Y'all see it? Our ancestors said, well, let me rephrase that. The ancient darkness has been presented as God in modern days and presented as light, enlightenment. So when you close your eyes, it is dark. It's dark. All you have is your mind. See, the eyes are not working. And because the eyes are working, are not working, the number of cycles per second of your brain waves will reduce simply because you close your eyes. Okay? So the goal is to learn through practice how to relax your body and your mind and go right to the edge of sleep. Go to the edge of sleep, the sleep state, where your brain cycles are going to be somewhere between 7 and 14, or in the middle of that 10 cycles per second. We're talking about what, y'all? Time cycles, natural cycles again. The mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Once you get there, through practice, you know how to get there, you know when you are there. That is when you do your thinking. That is when you do your decision making. That is the workshop of the mind. And through the development of visualization skills and your imagination in the workshop of the mind, you can produce, or let me restate it, you can reform your reality. Everything from your health, your personality, your character. Remember the transmutation of character? Remember? The devil, all y'all SOBs, liars and thieves, right? You can transmute up, develop your character, and become the Christ. Okay, y'all? Polarize in the Christ area, cosmic habit force takes over. The higher self. So you transmute away from the lower self, which is Satan, the devil. I'm talking about the solar zodiac projection, okay? And its interpretations. And the higher self. And by the way, so these four corners, north, south, east, and west, the solstitial points, the equinoctial points, those 4 points trace back to the 4 corners of the world, also called the 4 corners of the earth. In civics, this is the 4 corners of the Holy Writ, the 4 corners on the paper. Traces back to the Big Dipper, the Dipper. Okay, y'all? Let me look at some of the, before I do that. So in the workshop of the mind, through practice of relaxing your body and mind to get into that cycle of 7 to 14, or in the middle of that cycle, 10 cycles per second, brain waves, where the left and right hemispheres of your brain are harmonic. They're together. And you go there and you know that you are there, and you use your faculty of visualization and imagination to craft your health status and even someone else's health. Even improving someone else's health, no matter where they're at on the planet. Make your decisions, you will have optimal decisions, okay? Your decisions will be perfect. And I don't want to say the universe, that sounds so cliche, but the universe will do this stuff for you. But the universe is you, right? It's consciousness. It's you consciously using these faculties of your mind. Remember, you are thought made manifest from the soil. Okay, you have returned to the Most High. You have returned to nature. You have returned to who you are. Okay, and like I said, this is where you craft reality. But it is a practice. All right, y'all? This is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. This is what the Solarites, the Osirians, wanted to destroy. Okay, they don't want you to have that knowledge. They don't even want you to know it exists. Okay, why? Because once you do that, once you have it and you practice it and you develop it and you become good at doing it, they now have no control over you, no matter what they do. They have absolutely no control over you. And by the way, y'all, our ancestors, because you cannot create energy and you cannot destroy energy, energy only transforms. They had no fear of death. So from our ancestors' point of view, when the physical body dies, the physical body, the consciousness survives and will be formed, it will take another form. Okay, they had no fear of death. This is why they were fearless warriors when they had to fight. Let me read some of these comments. Let's see, King of the Earth 21 writes, Neanderthal easily proven through scripture. Day 6, the demon golem. Day 8, the man with the soul. Day 9, the angels. Day 15, the spirit. Day 18, earth is king. The different versions of human is the different versions of the people from from Torah to the Christ, the evolution of man proven through Scripture. I'm not a normal human. When I close my eyes, even at 3 a.m. With the lamp turned off, I still see the light. There's no such thing as the absence of light to me. You can also see the light even in the pitch blackness, but it's not an easy thing to get the details of the ritual correct. And then finally, King Earth concludes with, "Hi, I'm Earth." Okay. So when the physical eyes are closed, the visual center that the physical eyes connect to is turned off. So anything that you see in your mind's eye, as it were, this again is the ancient darkness. Okay? The ancient darkness. All right? The eyes are closed, but you can still see, you can imagine. Okay? The imagination. This is mind, mentalism, visualization. So this is what I was talking about. Okay, so I hope I've clarified a little bit about the let me read this comment. Hold on, did I? Oh, okay. So I hope I've clarified some of the things that I usually talk about. I hope you understand. I hope I've been able to effectively communicate what the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers is versus what the mindset of the Solarites, the Osirians, is. But the major point is that the Osirian pharaohs, from my studies, appear to be hybrids. Okay? And those dynasties, so you have to think about it, look at their action too. They created kingdoms and then consolidated power in families, dynasties. And then they began to steal the birthrights of the people. So this is criminal behavior, whether y'all will accept it or not. It's criminal behavior. The story about Joseph and Pharaoh, they conspired to defraud the people out of their birthright, out of all of their wealth, including their land. It was a conspiracy, okay? They violated natural law. Even the stories, well, y'all ain't gonna like this one. Even the story about Moses, when he took the people. Now, whether this is true or not, an edit, I don't want to offend anyone. I'm just going to tell you. You can decide if it was an edit, if it's true. That's not my role. But Moses in the story leads the people into the solar zodiac, the solar religion mindset. Which is against the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Now, I always keep, whenever I read a story, I always keep Jeremiah 8, verse 8 in mind. And I look at things through whether or not they violate natural law. That's the way I look at it. So I'm not married to any particular Bible story or character or person. Does it violate natural law? Can I find it? Does it trace back to astrology? Which mythology does it trace back to? I look at things like that. Why? Because you don't know what the editors wrote in. Okay, you don't know what they wrote in. But what we do know is that the book of the law was edited to become a religious book. So all we need to do is identify the dogmatic religion. And the way to identify dogmatic religion is to weigh it against natural law. All right? So anyway, let's keep it moving. So we've been going 1 hour and 20 minutes. Hold on. So let's get into the book now. Let's get into the book now. So welcome to the free astrotheology course. I'm Dr. Yasafa from Zion Law School. Zion is equivalent to Mount Meru in the North Celestial Pole region of space, okay? So the astrology of the Bible, or the lost word regained. And of course, the lost word is the astrology, right? And the author is Carl Anderson, published in 1892. So let's pick up on the last paragraph of page 198. It is the second sign of the earthly triplicity. It is barren. So if y'all want to know what this is talking about, you have to read not read, but watch the last few videos in the series, okay? It is barren, cold, and melancholy. Feminine, that means it's predominantly more feminine energy. Nocturnal and meridial. Talking about the meridia, that area, okay? It represents a slender body of good proportion, long, smooth hair, brown, dark brown, or black. A ruddy, brownish complexion. So here in 1892, they are admitting that ruddy is brownish. Those of y'all who think that ruddy is red like Santa Claus cheeks. A ruddy brownish complexion, long or oval visage, shape of the face, not very beautiful but comely, and commonly very discreet and ingenious. Page 199. Hold on. Am I in the right place? Oh, yeah. So what I was doing, I was thinking, I was adding the numbers up. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 9 is 19. 19 is 1 plus 9, which is 10. 10 becomes what, y'all? 10 reduces down to 3. I went over that. C.M. Bay tells us why that is in Clock of Destiny, Volume 2. I don't remember the page right now. So here we are at 3, okay? It reduces down to 3, right? Because what is 9? 9 is 3 plus 3 plus 3, okay? Okay, so let's begin first paragraph. So the heading is Signs and Meaning of the 12 Books. Very interesting, right? So 12 is 1 plus 2, which is 3. 12 is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. All 3, so you can reduce it down to 3 again, or you can do 12 is 3 times 4, right? So 3 plus 4 is 7. So that's taking you back to circle 7. So all 7s, y'all, all 7s trace back to the number of stars that make up the Big Dipper and the Great Bear, okay? All 7s. All right, so now let's keep it moving. And by the way, 3 is the first perfect number. Its diseases are naturally the colic, worms, ulcers of the bowels, and all infirmities incident to the belly and stomach. It rules Achaia, Crete, Corinthia, Greece, Rhodes, Artheca, Artheca or Arthesia, Chromata, the Rhine, Mesopotamia, Assyria, of cities Babylon, Jerusalem, Corinth, Novara, Konia, Lycons, Toulouse, Basel, Paris, and France, Heidelberg, parts of Cincinnati, Ohio, and parts of the cities of Boston and Hamburg, where the parks, gardens, etc. are. This is very interesting because this is like all over the place, right? In terms of continents. But what if, now I don't know, I would have to check it, but what if these cities are on just one continent? Initially. And then later moved to other continents. I don't know, I'm just imagining, okay? So in parts of cities of Boston and Hamburg, where the parks, gardens, etc. are. So gardens, of course, trace back to Virgo in the solar zodiac, and that traces back to the celestial ship of the north, or the celestial North Pole, right? Zion, Mount Meru, the Garden of Eden is the celestial North Pole. Is Mount Meru, is Mount Zion. Y'all got it? All right. This is why you have YHWH, the Tetragrammaton, which traces back to the Great Mother, which is the Hermetic law of gender in its feminine role of forming. So the solar rites call forming and transforming. They remix that into creating and creation. All right, y'all? So the Tetragrammaton initially, in its initial roll out, was feminine. Later became a moon god. This explains why the Israelites did everything based off of the moon. All right, and then later YHWH becomes a mountain god, a volcano god. All right. Now I'm just telling y'all like a TI is in history, okay? I'm not dealing with any doctrine, any religious beliefs, no dogmatic religion. I'm just giving y'all the what it is. All right, so let's continue. Next paragraph. The person represented by Virgo without planets in the ascendant generally has a shrill voice, all the members inclining to brevity. Ain't got much to say, right? The person signified is witty and exceedingly well-spoken, very studious, and given to all kinds of learning. The angle, now y'all, of course, y'all, Virgo traces back to the Great Mother, okay? Traces back to the Great Mother. This is why you're hearing these, this is why you're, the characteristics of the Great Mother, okay? So anyway, let's continue. The angle, so exceedingly well-spoken, very studious, and given to all kinds of learning. See, wisdom, enlightenment, y'all see it? The angel or angle of the sign Virgo is called Hamaliel. El prefixed, suffix to Hamali, H-A-M-A-L-I, Hamaliel. El traces back to the SU and sun, of course, but it traces back further to Saturn, the planet Saturn. El, the planet of discipline, lessons, not evil and wickedness, but lessons to help you grow, to develop your character, to learn who you are. For example, to discover these faculties of mind that we just talked about, the workshop of the mind, to help you get out of dogmatic religion. Okay, and then you will discover, most people discover the zodiac, the solar zodiac. They discovered the mythology, and that all of these solar religions, Christianity, Judaism, etc., are a scam. They're a remix of the zodiac, solar zodiac. But very few of us discover that the solar zodiac is a remix of the original zodiac, which is whose age is uncountable, undeterminable, unknowable. That's how old it is. Very few of us realize that. So I came across some videos by Bobby Kemet. And he talked about the mythological aspect. And I was shocked. He talked about the mythological part of what I'm discussing. I'm focused more on the celestial part. Okay, even though I deal with the mythology of it, it's not my focus. But he looks at it mythologically, and in my opinion, some things he did not get right. I'm talking my opinion, because he didn't look at it astrologically. He did not trace it back to the astrology of it. But just the fact that he did it just blew me away. And just the fact that he understood, at least from what I can tell, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he agrees with me about Egypt, the solar rites, because he also acknowledged, well, let me not speak for him. Let me end it at that. But then also Dr. Ben, I saw a video of him. I saw it years and years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I didn't pick up on it, where he's talking about Egypt before Egypt. In other words, ancient Nubia. But of course, Nubia, there were other civilizations who had the same mindset before Nubia. I mean, they inherited it, right? They inherited it. So he also acknowledged the difference between then and what we know of as Egypt today. That blew me away. But then also he was doing some mathematics, and that's my next, the next phase of what I need to focus on, the mathematics of it, right? The mathematics of it, because if you can wrap your brain around this, just like he said, he and others, C.M. Bay also said this, the mathematics is God. Of course, they're speaking connotatively, right? The geometry of it. This is where a lot of the principles that you see in dogmatic religion come from. Principles and the Hermetic principles, all of it are coming from mathematics. Okay, y'all? So anyway, let's keep it going. The color is black, specked with blue, or dark blue specked with white. In man, it corresponds to the belly or entrails and stomach, inasmuch as it is the storehouse for food. So clearly Virgo, right? Storehouse. Fruits of all kind, butter, cheese, grains. All right, y'all? So this is the Great Mother. Because the Great Mother is what? Is intense or absolute darkness, right? And she is seen with fruit and vegetables all over her body. So the Great Mother Nature. Right, y'all? Life sustainer. The wet nurse of the Moors, as the authors talk about it. And y'all know when it says that when we have problems, we look to the Great Mother for comfort and support. In other words, we went inside of ourselves in the workshop of the mind, not an external deity. We went inside of ourselves in the workshop of the mind into absolute darkness. Okay? And we used our visualization and imagination skills to give ourselves and others comfort and healing. So anyway, let's keep it going. Okay, so as it rules over the vital, so I'm assuming the vital organs, it is the great seat of life. So this is again the Great Mother, tracing back to the Great Mother. Therefore the life sustained is from this sign. This traces back to the Great Mother. Y'all see it? So in the solar zodiac, it traces back to Virgo. Virgo, of course, traces back to the Great Mother Typhoon, the celestial ship of the north, or the thigh of the Great Bear, which is the Dipper and the Big Dipper, all right? Before time, very interesting, right? Before time. Remember, time is a construct of the mind. Remember, the Great Mother produces time. What did our ancestors do? They drew a boundary around that which was boundless. They created a clock, circle 7, and the clock of destiny. Okay, y'all? This is what it's talking about. Before time, before there was even one revolution of the Great Bear around the pole star. This is what he's talking about. Before time, when but 10 signs were used. 10 what? 10 signs, 10 zodiac signs. So what is he talking about? He's talking about the time when Virgo, Scorpio were one constellation. Virgo, Scorpio was one constellation. And here's how the story goes. Then when man fell, Virgo, Scorpio broke apart, forming 2 separate congregations, and in between them came the constellation called Libra or Libra, Ma'at, the scales of justice. In the West, the fall equinox, somewhere around September 22nd, okay, y'all? So this is what he's talking about. So before time, what did he just tell us? History. He's talking about, it appears to me that he's measuring time from the point of view of the Solarites. His story, who was his? The Osirians. Okay? Before time, when but 10 signs were used, this was the union of I and O. I and O, y'all should know this traces back to the Tetragrammaton. Yahweh, Yahuwah, Jehovah, Yahoo, whatever you want to call it. I and O, or I-A-O, right? Y'all got it? But listen, before time, when but 10 zodiac signs were used, this was the union, the coming together, listen y'all, the coming together of I and O. Or listen y'all, or the male and female principles. The male and female principles, this is a Hermetic law of gender. It already existed. So what is he talking about? Well, we do know that he's talking about the Hermetic law of gender, which is at one extreme end of a line, it's feminine. At the other end of the line, it is masculine energy. It emanated, or its source is the Hermetic law of mentalism. But he says, he calls it the male and feminine and female principles. So they're principles, not people. Energy, not people. They came together. What is he talking about, y'all? Listen. The wedding of Libra and Virgo. Wait a minute, the wedding of Libra and Virgo, do y'all realize this is the Sphinx, what's now called the Sphinx? The head of the Sphinx, Virgo, the body of the Sphinx is Leo, representing a time when what, y'all? When Virgo would have been what's today called the beginning of spring, or right ascension meridian, right ascension, RA. And Leo would have been the end, would have been the last sign. So Virgo would have been the sign where spring begins, or the new year. So the first zodiac sign, and then the 12th would have been Leo. Y'all heard? Now what do we know about this? It says I and O. Well, an O is what, y'all? An O is a circle. An O is a circle. So we have circle 7, the mother of the revolutions, the mother of the circles, right, y'all? That was remixed to the circle or the belt around which the 12 zodiacs are arranged, which is called the Mazzaroth. Mazzaroth traces back to Mitzar, the second star in the tail of the great bear that we use to tell time. Mazzaroth, Mitzar, that's the Mizraim above, heavenly Mizraim, and of course there's Mizraim on earth. So now we're dealing with the I and the O. We just dealt with the astrology of it and the hermetics of it. Let's continue. Okay, so it was the union, the coming together of I and O, or male and female principles. Ooh, the I, look at, this is the I, right? And this is the O. So you have the phallus entering where? The O, the vaginal shaft. Y'all see that? You have the phallus, the penis, entering into the vaginal canal, rather. If y'all can imagine that. So what happens? What happens? The man will ejaculate, and the baby will be formed, and the baby comes out. So we're dealing with what, y'all? A time cycle. Gestation through birth, right? The forming of a new life. Y'all see it? Y'all get it? So let's continue. Or the male and female principles, the wedding of Leo and Virgo, signifying the union of matter and spirit. Wait a minute, wait. Matter and spirit. Spirit is ancient darkness. The great mother, the ancient darkness, is pure spirit or pure light. Metaphysically, right? Matter is sunlight. Do y'all hear me? I've gone through this. I've shown it. You'll get this in the Celestial Ship of the North. So light is matter. It is not eternal. So now here we are, the coming together of the ancient darkness and the sunlight. But remember, the sun is produced by the Great Mother anyway. what's the story they're trying to tell us? It says, signifying the union of spirit and matter, of the vital rays of the Escheat and sun, or right ascension, so that would be in Aries, the East Gate, somewhere around March 22nd. Okay, the sun is ascending. The sun passes over the celestial equator, which is at 0 degrees, and it enters into the kingdom of God, which is when there are 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. And now the number of daylight hours will continue to increase throughout spring, summer, and fall until the sun crosses below. In other words, Jesus gets crucified until the sun crosses below the celestial equator in the autumn, which is the autumn equinox, where Christ gets crucified. But before he gets crucified, he does what? He pays everybody. Whatever work you did to get your harvest, whatever that work, whatever that investment was, you get it in terms of, what is it? You get it in terms of your harvest. So in this sense, Christ is that righteous one, because he pays you exactly for the work you did. All right? And then Christ gets crucified, of course, in Skull Place. There's 2 crucifixions. So when y'all come across this knowledge that like I'm giving you now, many of you will reject it, so you crucify Christ in your skull, in your brain. Christ is crucified in the skull, at Skull Place. Anyway, let's continue. So the union of spirit and matter, of the vital rays of the Escheat and sun, or right ascension, listen, with the earthly or natural body Virgo, the celestial virgin, who does what? Who brings forth fruit from the overshadowing of the Lord of hosts, viz, or meaning the sun, listen y'all, elevated above it. This is elevated above earth in midsummer. So this is around June 22nd going into July. So now we're in Leo. And thus fecundating the womb of nature. What does fecundating mean? Well, here's what we know about Leo. Leo is a time of year where the sun's rays are at its most intense heat. So this intense heat energy from the sun fecundates the earth, fecundates the soil, meaning that it makes the soil, all that energy coming from the sun, all that energy and information coming from the sun hitting the earth, hitting the soil, makes the soil very easily to have a baby, so to speak. Okay? Makes the soil, it fecundates the soil. Easy to have a baby. Easy to ripen the fruit. Ripen the fruits and vegetables that have been planted in Mama Earth. Okay? So Leo does that. So this is the coming together of Leo and Virgo. Okay? Leo, and you can look at it, for example, a woman's womb has to be, the conditions of the womb have to be right for her to become pregnant. Otherwise, the sperm and the egg, when they come together, the morula, it won't implant. So the conditions have to be right. So the sun being so intense, all that energy and information going into the soil ripens the fruits. And that will take place, I think the first harvest will be somewhere like in August, the grain harvest. And then later on, we go into the wine, the grape harvest, which ends on September 29th, where any juice that you squeeze out of the grapes will only be good for vinegar, right? Because the life has been squeezed out of it. That's how the story goes. Are y'all following? Now this is in the solar zodiac projection. So let's keep it going. So the union of the spirit and matter, of the vital rays, vital, life-giving, right? Vital rays of the sun, or right ascension meridia. See, the sun is now in the kingdom of the heavens. With the earthly or natural body, Virgo, the celestial virgin, who was to bring forth fruit from the overshadowing of the Lord of hosts. Of course, that's the Escheat and sun in Leo. Viz. The sun, Escheat and sun, elevated above it in midsummer, and thus fecundating the womb of nature, making the soil of the earth, the top soil, making the conditions perfect, adding all that energy and heat and information into the soil that signals those fruits and vegetables to ripen, and producing natural bodies from the receptive earth, the womb of the earth, okay? Whose refreshing dews and moistures quickened by the rains, and in parentheses, R-E-I-N-S, of the mother Isis, or myrrh. Of course, myrrh is water, right? Myrrh, marina, etc., water. So y'all, do y'all see this traces back to the Great Mother Typhoon? All of what they're saying here are the characteristics and attributes and things that the Great Mother does in the celestial ship of the north, in the circumpolar zodiac. Everybody sees that it traces back. Isis traces back to the Great Mother. Virgo traces back to Isis. Okay, y'all? Virgo traces back to the Great Mother. So in other words, Virgo and Isis, Myrrh, Mary, Maria, Marina, these are all remixes of the Great Mother Typhoon. Okay? Because it was from the evaporation or exhalation of the myrrh, M-E-R, or sea, S-E-A, ponds, lakes, dews, and vapors. So we're talking about the water cycle, right? The water cycle, time cycles. Natural phenomena that quickened into life the eternal seed. The celestial ship of the north is also called or referred to the celestial ship of life. Why? Because it has all the germs, all the DNA. If we look at it in today's terms, it has the DNA database of all things, all living things on board, okay? So it quickens them into life, into, and vapors that quickened into life the eternal seed. The eternal seed, which came forth in its appointed time. Yeah, you plant the seed in the spring, right? This is in Aries, which is right ascension. Y'all see it? The sun continues to rise until it reaches its highest elevation in the northern part of space, which is the summer solstice, okay, which is that eye, the line of the polarity, right? And then the sun begins to fall, meaning the number of daylight hours begin to decrease, but there's still more than 12, so you're still in the kingdom of heaven. And then for some reason, I don't know, in July in Leo, the intensity of the sun increases to its maximum of the whole year. So this intense heat carries energy and information, which causes those seeds which have been growing, right, which are not ripe, it causes them to ripen. Clear? And then once everything is fully ripened, it's time for the harvest. Okay, this is all that said. All right, so it quickened into life the eternal seed, which came forth in its appointed time and was constantly cared for by the mother. It was constantly cared for by the mother, Mer, M-E-R, viz, meaning specifically the virgin queen of heaven, the moon. So this is the moon's role. This is the moon's role in helping the plants to ripen. Okay? The moon's role in agriculture, which is a satellite of the earth. So y'all see that this is talking about this. All of this traces back to the Great Mother. So this is what happened. The solar zodiac took one aspect of the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, and they changed the focus from telling time and telling reality by the stars, natural cycles, time cycles, etc. They carved out a piece of it, a small piece of it, which is the sun and the Mazara. And they put the focus on that little tiny piece. That's what happened. That's the message I'm trying to communicate to you. But that's just a tiny piece of the whole, which is Circle 7, Clock of Destiny, Natural Law, Do No Harm, No Injury, the Hermetic Laws, time cycles, natural phenomena on Earth, okay? So the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers is much, much more than just the sun along the ecliptic and then agricultural phenomena, natural phenomena that affects agriculture. It's much bigger than that, okay? And then also the natural phenomena that affects animals and men and women. It's much more vast than that. But the Solarites carved that out and put the focus on that. That's the new mindset, okay? And then the solar religions, they carved, well, not carved out, they rewrote these mythologies, these teaching tools that our ancestors used. They rewrote them and created dogmatic religions. They presented them as being real people, real places, devils, gods, and demons. Y'all see what happened here? Okay? All right? So now in the solar zodiac paradigm or mindset, there are these solar religions. There is dogmatic religions. People reckon time and religion by when? 6,000 years of the Bible. That's how they reckon time. The solar zodiac people, the Solarites, the Osirians, today, they reckon time, the Catholics, for example, they reckon time by the sun along the ecliptic. They ain't gonna tell you that, but all you gotta do is look around the Vatican, look around, study their art, etc., and you'll see it. You'll see the zodiac. Okay? The religious people, they reckon reality based upon the dogma, the doctrine of their religions. Everybody see it? The dogma, the doctrine of their religion, this is how they reckon reality, which is most of the time out of harmony with nature. Whereas our ancient ancestors, they reckon time by the stars. Reckon reality by time cycles and natural phenomena, not just dealing with agriculture, but throughout the universe. Y'all see the difference? So let me read this. So Old Edge Lamech, Oladj Lamech writes, I'm starting to correlate the scriptures with the natural phenomena of seed time and harvest in agriculture. I'm very happy to hear that. See, this is what the feast days are all about, y'all. That's the feast days. Okay? Now, it's my position. I'm going to tell you, it's my position. So man must have agriculture. Otherwise, you can't eat, right? But there was a time when our ancestors concentrated themselves in the areas of the world where fruit was just abundant. We wasn't trying to live in a place where there was no available fruit, like up in Europe. We didn't heavily populate Europe. We sent the hybrids up into the mountains and the caves, and they're known today as cavemen and Neanderthal. At least that's the stories that our ancient ancestors give us. You can get that out of the Clock of Destiny. So we didn't have to worry about, and Dr. Ben also talks about this, and others. We inhabited those land masses, those areas where food was abundant. It was year round, okay? And did we go from place to place? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't travel, right, y'all? Who wouldn't travel? So Oja Lemak writes, the remixes, indeed. And the remixes are intended to separate you from yourself. To separate you from yourself at the conscious level and the unconscious level, so that you would never realize the faculties of your mind and your capacities. That you, in fact, are connotatively speaking what they call God today. That's the purpose. Why would they do it? To steal your birthright, to steal your land, and to rule over you. In other words, to have you as their bondman or bondwoman. Okay, while they sit back and chill and enjoy your birthright. So let's continue, y'all. This then is again the union. Listen, y'all. Remember, talking about the masculine and feminine principle. Now, the author is going to take us to the astrology of stories in the Bible. This then is again the union of Joseph and Mary. The union of Joseph and Mary. Of course, Joseph is a husbandman. Mary is Virgo, astrologically speaking. Okay, so that story in the Bible about Joseph and Mary traces back to astrology, but not just astrology, also the mythology, or Gaspé and Mary. David and the virgin who lay at his feet. Remember when David was already old, he was cold, and he had the virgin in the bed to keep him warm? So this then traces back to David and the virgin who lay at his feet, 30 degrees of Leo. The virgin who lay at his feet, 30 degrees of Leo. It's astrological. So 1 day for 1 degree is 1 day, y'all. Okay. So the sun casts a shadow 1 degree every day on the sundial. Each zodiac sign is 30 days, therefore 30 degrees. The sun is 3 degrees, so 30 plus 3 is 33 degrees. Okay, y'all? That should sound familiar, 33. It continues. Or Eve, who came out of Adam. Leo, so what is this telling us? Leo merging into Virgo. So the relative position of Leo and Virgo on a celestial map. Y'all see it? Eve, who came out of Adam, or Leo, the constellation Leo, merging into Virgo. The physical position of Leo and Virgo on a celestial map. Of course, when you deal with the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, everything is feminine first. And then the firstborn son astrologically or cosmically is Soot, S-U-T, which is the first star that was formed that was predominantly masculine in its gender, predominantly composed of masculine energy. Clear, y'all? And then, of course, Soot gets remixed into the firstborn son in all the solar religions, the Immaculate Conception. But then Soot, who gets remixed, right, planetarily into Saturn. Saturn gets remixed into Satan. Hence, the firstborn son is Satan. The Father and the Son are one. Hence, YHWH is the Son, and they are both Satan. Y'all see this? Now, this is not dealing with the dogmatic religion. This is dealing with the astrology of it. Okay, y'all? But you will find this in Ezekiel chapter 1, where you see the Father is clothed and footed. And you'll see it also, I think, in Samuel. I don't remember the books, y'all. I have to get it. But you'll see where Yahoo, Yahweh, Yahweh, the Tetragrammaton is attributed to doing the same thing that Satan did, which was the census, counting the people. All right, y'all? But anyway, let's keep it moving. Okay, so this is also Ruth, the gleaner, and Boaz, the blossoming of Aaron's rod, and also Joseph's or Gaspes, as this was the original central sign. Y'all got that? The original central sign in which sundown, so it's getting dark, in which sundown commenced of unripe fruits, as well as fall. Also the choleratic months, choleratic heat, the hot months, right? Of August and September, of unripe apples. Listen to this, the really 7th month of the year. Oh. So you would count from the 1st up into the 7th. That would give you the first zodiac sign of the first month. So you would start from, I guess he's saying you start from Virgo or maybe Leo. And the season, I'm losing my voice, hold on. I'm rushing because I have to go. I have an appointment, but I'm trying to finish this paragraph. And the season or time of perfect number 7, of perfect number 7. 7, of course, traces back to the Great Bear, or what's today called the Big Dipper, in the northern celestial pole. So here we are back again at the circumpolar zodiac in the north, the Great Mother Typhoon. All 7s go back to the circumpolar zodiac in the north, the Great Bear, the Big Dipper. Okay, y'all? The thigh of the Great Mother, which is the source of time, of everything formed, and of all life. All right? So, and of the season or time of perfect number 7, which is 10. Y'all got that? Which is 10. Y'all see that? Which is 10. So here you have the phallic or the penis and the O. the opening of the vaginal canal, or you can even look at it as being the womb. Y'all see that? Okay, y'all? Clear? 10 reduces, of course, down to 3. So, again, so of unripe apples, the really 7th month, in other words, true 7th month of the year, and the season or time of perfect 7, circle 7, the great mother, typhoon, which is 10. 1 is the phallus. I, of course, is 1, pointing up at the sun in the solar system, right? The solar zodiac, rather, which is IAO. Of course, that's the tetragrammaton. So this would be what? The 4 letters, which is initially, or was in its initial rollout, was feminine, tracing back to or a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon. Do y'all see it? Which is IAO. You may see plainly the analogy between man's original fall. Sundown. Now, who is man? Man is the son of God. The S-U-N is the S-O-N. Check it in Dutch and German language. It's, what is it called? A homophone, sound alike but spelled different. In other words, they hid it. Instead of spelling sun, S-U-N, I'm sorry, S-U-N, they replaced the U with an O. Okay? S-O-N, S-U-N. It's the same word. So the original fall of man, the original decrease in elevation of the sun from the summer solstice, happening all the way until it goes where? To the celestial equator, and then it crosses below. Okay, y'all? This is the natural phenomenon that has been remixed into a religious fall of man. Adam being kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Y'all see it? This is the astrology of it. You may plainly see the analogy between man's original fall. Yeah, fall from the summer solstice in elevation. Sundown and fall of the year. So the number of hours of daylight are decreasing. And now they become lower than 12 when the sun crosses below the celestial equator. So now they go into lower than 12. Now darkness begins to rule, and in the solar zodiac, darkness has been remixed into everything evil, wicked, and ignorant, uncivilized. So man falls. Y'all see it? You see the remix? As unripe fruits eaten at this time, at this period, in those eastern countries, produced cholera and thus certain death. Now, this Garden of Eden was, it says, see, Genesis divided by a river that parted into 4 heads. Of course, the Garden of Eden is the circumpolar zodiac, the north, Mount Meru, right? Zion, Mount Zion, Zion Law School. And this place was an eternal abode of happiness. The ancient darkness. All this traces back to the ancient darkness. The north celestial pole. An abode of happiness, eternal happiness. Return to the mindset of the ancient foremothers and forefathers. It is the workshop of the mind where you step into it with honor and craft reality. Heal yourself and others. Do, be, have whatever you want. And in it everything grew. Y'all hear that? In it everything grew that was good to eat and to sustain life, and the tree of life was in the center. Now this is according to the story of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. This is the tree of life that stood in the middle of the garden, that branched out celestially, bearing fruit of stars. And its roots were grounded in the earth. So this is the tree of life according to the stories of our ancient ancestors. All right? The roots are grounded into the ground, and there's a story with the roots. And then its branches bear fruit called stars. If y'all can imagine that. All right? He continues. And in it everything grew that was good to eat and to sustain life. And the tree of life in the center, okay, in the center from the celestial North Pole to the celestial South Pole, it crosses, so it has its origin, the celestial North Pole. On that same line is the solstitial line, north and south, higher self and lower self. Y'all see it? Let's continue. According to the further description, it was between the ecliptic and the sun. The vital power of life was in the center of the prime meridian, or center of the Mother Earth. And consequently, it was divided into four heads, namely north, south, east, or west. North, south, east, and west. Y'all see it? North, the Christ, the higher self. South, the lower self, Satan, the devil. North and south, solstitial line. East, the east gate. The east gate, y'all see it? The east gate, Passover, right? The east gate, the spring equinox, and then the west gate, which would be the fall equinox. Together, these are the four corners, the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. They make the four corners, which are a remix of the four corners in the Big Dipper, the bowl that's called the Big Dipper, the bowl of the Big Dipper, right? The dipper part. Those are the original four corners of the world, four corners of the earth. Do y'all see it? We're tracing it back to the mindset. We're tracing it back from the solar zodiac projection to the circumpolar zodiac projection, which is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Why? Because we were instructed to return to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers so that we can be properly oriented in time and space and keep the commandments, follow the Most High's commandments, as it were. Live in harmony with nature. Y'all see it? He continues. Oh, shoot, I gotta go, y'all. Hold on. Okay, y'all, so by the way, so this is a circle, right? A circle, draw a circle around the cross, a circle, and the points of intersection vertically and horizontally, these are the four corners. The four corners in the squared circle. In other words, the circle had been squared. 90-degree angles, okay? So your compass and your square. All right. Of course, the lessons that you learn in life, hopefully you learn them, the trials, tribulations that are can be extreme and numerous. If you correlate this to Saturn, okay, the solar zodiac, these are the lessons, the opportunities, the cosmic feedback, if you will, the cosmic control feedback to help you see what's wrong with your character so that you can develop your character and transmute from lower self, being a devil and a Satan, as it were. I'm talking about in the solar religious paradigm. And then you migrate up or improve your character to become the Christ. Okay, y'all see it? So now let's continue. So in this sign, represented by the union of the spiritual with the natural body, or the story of Genesis and of Adam, the natural man who commenced in an earthly sign, and the story of Jesus, Jesus the Christ, right? Who commenced from a fiery or spiritual sign, both from the right hand of the Father. So this would be what, y'all? Right ascension meridian, Aries. This is what I'm thinking, but let me read it. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me read it. Both from the right hand of the Father, who dwelleth between the cherubim, or four cardinal signs. So what are we talking about, y'all? What are we talking about? Well, let's go back. He talked about So he talked about earlier on Leo and Virgo. Leo and Virgo, so Virgo being the first month of the year at that time. So that the zodiacal age would have been Virgo. The end of the zodiac, so the 12th zodiac sign would have been Leo. Okay, would have been Leo. Y'all got it? So now, what is he telling us? What can we learn from this? Well, remember, there's the top. In the ancient Ibaryath, we call this top. So this is the top cross, which is the ancient Phoenician language, okay? Or some people call it Paleo Hebrew. The top cross. So this zodiac sign would be the bull, Taurus. Over here, Leo the lion, okay? Over here, Scorpio, the eagle, and then over here, Aquarius, or the head of a man. You make the correlation between with Ezekiel chapter 1, the four living creatures. Okay, so this is the top cross. This is where they're starting time in the solar zodiac projection. So that's where the overthrow had to have taken place. That was the zodiacal age when the Solarites, the Osirians, overthrew our ancestors who were keeping the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. In other words, they reckoned time, they calculated time and reality by the stars, which would have been, or which is rather, Circle 7, Clock of Destiny, and the time cycles, and all celestial and earthly time cycles and natural phenomena. And last but not of least importance of all, natural law, do no harm, don't injure anyone. which is the same thing as saying don't steal. Okay? And then all of the civics that come out of that. For example, birthrights, due process of law, so on and so forth. Okay, y'all? All right? Let me make the connection for you. So here we are, the tie cross. So what we're learning from this is the approximate time where the overthrow took place. Well, we already have an idea of this, right? Because we're told that minis came to power sometime around 4000 to 4500 BCE. And these mythologies, these teachings, tools, these stories that our ancient ancestors created to teach all of this information were remixed from those teaching tools or mythologies into historical people and dogmatic religious doctrine. It took place around 4000 to 4500 BCE during Pharaoh Mini's time. Y'all heard? So that's what we learned. What else do we learn? Hold on. So here we have the cardinal points, right? So Aries, Libra, East Gate, West Gate, right, y'all? Christ, summer solstice, the devil, winter solstice. So now we have the intersection of these lines, and the cherubim. The cherubim exist where? Between them, between these points, okay? So now we have the circle and the cross, the squared circle, right? The 90-degree angles, compass and the square, the plumb. And what else, y'all? What does it say? It says, both from right hand of the Father, so that's the East Gate, Aries, who is the Lamb of God. When the Moor is laying down on the horizontally like this, his head is in Aries, his head is in the East Gate, and his feet are in Libra, the scales of justice. He is dead. He is civilly dead. He is unconscious. Hiram Habith, right, has been hit over the head. He in a shallow grave. So he is dead because his mindset is in the solar zodiac. But worse, his mindset is in the solar religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Y'all see it? Maybe I shouldn't say Islam. I need to check on that. Okay, but definitely Judaism and Christianity. All right, y'all? So he is dead. And he does not become alive in full life until he does what? Stands up, erect, perpendicularly to his dead state. Now we see the square. Okay? And he's standing, his feet represent, or he's standing on the south celestial pole, which are the principles, the highest universal principles. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which can be reduced down to one: don't injure or harm anyone, which is equivalent to saying don't steal. And his head represents the North Pole, the North Celestial Pole, which is the great mother, the ancient darkness, the place of beginnings. So time cycles, everything we've talked about. Do y'all understand? Do you see what's happening here? Okay, and the cherubim, excuse me, dwelleth between the four cardinal points. The age of Christ, or Krishna, or the cross or cruce, is said to be 30 years, right? 30 years old, then he started his ministry. Now, if you take the number of degrees from each point of the original tau cross. They have it like this, okay? This is the cardinal. This is the tau. But anyway, or natural man formed from the earthly sign Taurus. There we go, y'all. Taurus, the tau cross, till you get through the entire life or formation, going from Taurus to Leo to Scorpio to Aquarius, where the life is exhaled in an Aries sign. The spiritual body commences at Aries, Escheat, a fiery sign. So Aries is a fiery sign and connects with the natural body by an invisible tie at the navel, the center, the feet spurring the earth in Capricorn, winter solstice, or rising from the grave, right? The sun rises from the grave in Capricorn on December 25th. Y'all see it? The sun gets resurrected or a new sun is born. Y'all see it? And the measurement from any of the natural body points on the tau cross to any of the points of the spiritual body is 30 degrees. So on the cardinal, it's 90 degrees. On the cod, these angles are what, 30? 30 degrees, okay? Or allegorically, the 30 years of the life of the tau cross, or Krishna, Buddha, or Christ, or of Mercury, which never gets over 30 degrees from the sun, right? So Mercury is the sun, right? It's said to be the sun. Why? Because it's in the bosom of the Father and it is overwhelmed by the glory of God. Why? Because it's the first planet. It says, I need to make sure that, hold on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, first planet from the sun is Mercury. Okay? So Mercury is overwhelmed by the glory of God. Because it's the first planet from the sun. Y'all see the correlations between this and Christ and Krishna, Buddha. Now do you see why they all have the halo? One reason why they all have the sun halo. Y'all see it? But anyway, let's continue. Mercury never gets over 30 degrees from the SU and sun. Mercury, by the way, y'all, is the Messiah. Mercury, by the way, is involved in commerce and is a known thief. According to their mythology, is a known thief. Let's continue. When this invisible tie breaks, the spirit or Petri ascends. The astral body is resplendent. The quote-unquote, the silver cord is broken. And behold, that which at first was a natural body has now become a spiritual body. Second law of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, it only transforms. Whole, entire, and untrammeled by earthly particles. Ethereal is the way that the great mother typhoon is described. Ethereal, okay? Eternal. Among the air, water, and fire, which are heavenly signs, or Aries, Escheat, Cancer, summer solstice, Libra, winter solstice, and of course, which are the heavenly signs. Remember, kingdom of the heavens, the sun rules because there's more than 12 hours of sunlight per day, per 24-hour cycle. So it's Aries, the signs are Aries, Cancer, and Libra, or the three bearing witnesses in heaven. So we're going to stop there. There you are. So you have to pause it on the replay. All right, y'all can read this. Pause it on the replay to if you want to read it. Okay. Let me show the page before that. Hold on. Hope y'all can see it. Okay, y'all, pause it on the replay and you'll be able to read everything. I gotta go. Let's see. Hold on. Wait a minute. Sorry, y'all. It's a light reflecting. I can barely see. Hold on. So Oja Lemek writes, and you know I'm studying real estate, and whatever you mentioned, it's a cheat, the reversion of property to the state when the owner dies without heirs. I think about the series that you teach. Absolutely. See, that's the mechanism of how they are stealing. One of the mechanisms how they steal our birthright is through Escheat. Because if you are not, if you're not in your proper status, which is a Moorish American, if I'm talking about these autochthonous Moors like me. In other words, we're sprung from the soil in North America. North America is our land by birthright. They get you to agree to being black, Mexican, and whatever the fake status is, the brands that are no nationality at all. Now there is no heir. There's no heir. And they got you in contracts. Right? They got you in contracts, these adhesion contracts, these fraudulent contracts. So now these people, these Moors are without a nationality. They're stateless people, stateless persons rather, 14th Amendment corporate persons. They have no constitutional or treaty protection, nothing to tie them to the land. And they are in contracts where they agreed to give up their birthright. So now, but once you step forward with your nationality, living according to the principles, you basically do no harm, but you need to know the culture, right? Then you can exercise your right of reversion of the state to take back the property and the land that you want. And ain't nothing they can do about it because they're de facto. Y'all go to enforcetheconstitution.org, okay? Consul General is more expert at it than I am, and I'm talking about much of what I learned from him, all right, through his work. Enforcetheconstitution.org. You'll find the free templates, etc. But you know, if I were you, if you got the finance, if I were you, I would, if you got the finance and the time or whatever, consult with him. But the writs are there, and you can see where our people have successfully exercised the reversionary rights or the reserve rights of the people and decided cases in their favor. All right, in our favor is what I mean. In other words, we won. Escheat, absolutely. Zodiac writes Escheat, absolutely. Becoming clearer, I have to go back to the devil's pulpit again. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The devil's pulpit is a must read for everyone. So, and then once you graduate from the devil's pulpit, you understand it. Then when you go into the celestial ship of the north, you go into General Massey's works, you begin to see what everything traces back to and how they have used etymology, philology, history, two parts, mythological history and secular history, to brainwash you, to get you out of your status as a Moorish American national. Relative to them, we're foreigners, right? But once you accept all of that BS, 14th Amendment status, black, you know, the condition of, and I'm not just talking about the so-called blacks, I'm talking about any autochthonous man or woman, because y'all know it's not about color, right? It's about Aboriginal or your Moorish status. Okay, y'all? But anyway, I gotta go. I'm late, and we'll pick this back up hopefully within the next 12 hours. And I hope everyone is able to make sense of what I'm talking about. If you're offended, I have no intention to offend you. If you are being enlightened, well, I'm very happy to hear that and to know that, because what I'm trying to do is to help our people return to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, okay, to have full possession of and enjoyment of our birthright, okay, the cultural aspect of it, okay, y'all? Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors, Shalom.